There's no changes to the
Right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the the monthly parish council meeting. Not the annual one yet. First of all, we'll open the public session, and just a few words from Miles of thank you for the weekend, if you would like, Miles, regarding the skate park.
As you might know, we had a membership for some of the younger kids at the skate park, and one of the three community events, like the city or raise money for the charity in the village, we give them that on their membership fund. And when they get through, we reward them. And finally, enough of them have earned 3 stamps, and I took them down to Peterborough on the youth service bus, which is Wednesday night. It's one of the biggest skate parks I've ever been in my time on it as a reward. And when the was for them, and I've never been so proud of asking kids to be fine. I didn't have any issues whatsoever. All of them supporting, not being strict, being helping what went fall them down, or rental lessons, all taking where it kneecaps and things like that. And so I say that should be proud of that, thank you. And keep supporting the safe parking with parents.
Thank you. We must thank the skate park group for doing a good job. They're really working hard at this. They've got the bit between the teeth and they intend getting where they're going to. B. Allow any questions relating to Anson Parish Council Recreation Ground, which will be relayed. Mrs. Williams isn't here. Right. To allow questions relating to Anson Parish Recreation Ground, which will be relayed to the charity. Any questions about the charity land? Yes, Sandra.
On behalf of the charity, does the council confirm in writing the decision that was made earlier tonight?
Yeah, we can do that, can't we? Yeah, charity will confirm it. Yeah. To allow representations regarding planning applications within the civil parish of Anson to be considered later in the meeting.
Yes, thank you, Chairman.
Yes? Yeah?
It's 9-1, list 8, item 0174. Okay.
That's fine, Hillary. Would you like to ask your question now, Hillary, or would you like to leave it till we get to that part? It is on the agenda later on.
Well, I'll ask the question and then you've got full information.
Okay.
This planning application, it clearly shows that more than half of this proposed development will be on green belt. There has been no consultation on this proposed new development, as there was on the previously proposed development. Does the parish council agree that it should object to this proposed development on these grounds?
I can't answer for the parish council. That will come later on in the.
That's the question.
Later on in the. Right. Okay. So, yeah. So, yeah. It's not really a question, Hillary. It's a representation on the planning.
Yes, I know that, but nevertheless, that's what I'm looking for.
Right. Mr. Sadler.
Do you want the question now?
If it's a short one, yeah.
I want to know.
On planning. On planning.
On planning.
Right, okay.
I'm a bit previous.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, are there any questions from the members on the question of the 0174?
Yeah.
Well, we've had one
They were
question.
meeting.
We've had one question, and I've asked the clerk to put in the members' packs your full presentation. So the presentation that you wanted to give, which we can't do, is in the pack for everybody to look at. Okay, and it will be discussed later on list 8A, number 9 on the agenda. Okay.
Excuse me, Chairman, will the public have a chance to have a look at that then?
You can have my copy if you want.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
When do you want any representation of that?
Well, you can, I've put it in the pack with everybody to inform everybody. We'll ask you any questions when we get to that part on the agenda. Okay.
Look, can I make it a bit more clearer?
Yes.
Right, can I make it a bit more clearer? What's actually happening at the moment is we have an item on the agenda that allows members of the public to make representations on any planning application. That's the stage we're at now. Later on in the meeting, the parish council will discuss all the planning applications put before us, but at that point, members of the public are not allowed to speak. So if you're going to do a representation, it has to be done now.
But if I choose to ask you a question for clarity later, I will do so.
But we don't normally afford that privilege to
Yes, to
people,
do with anybody. The chairman's allowed to ask anybody any advice at any time.
All right, it's all right. Now we've got it. Now we've got
Right.
the camera. It's no problem.
Yeah.
However, I don't think if the proposals want to make a show, they
No.
should do that.
No,
You can. I've just said
we
it can.
can't. It's part of the pack. We can't do that.
It's part of the...
No.
Well, it does say...
We've got a full presentation in the
Not
pack.
full, we haven't got time for a full presentation, but that's why I've given it you in the pack, so that you can all be aware of what the application is now. But we can come back to them and ask questions
No.
when it comes to that part of the
Can't
agenda,
speak.
to make it easier.
If that's all right,
No.
do a very short presentation.
No.
Chair, you can't.
At that point,
Chair,
No, you can't.
Chair, I'm going to stand on a point of order.
It's in here.
Chair, I'm stood on a point of order.
yeah.
Right. I'm sorry, the gentleman, you do live in Anston? Do you live in the... Right. There's a rule that at these meetings...
Chair, could I stand at a point of
Excuse
order?
me, I'm stood up speaking.
No,
Excuse me, sit down,
Point of
I'm
order.
speaking.
Our standing orders say quite clearly that any councillor...
Excuse me, Chair, why is he allowed to speak over me when I'm stood on a point of order again?
will name
What the hell's
the
going on?
standing orders he is referring to.
He's raised the point of order, and he's
Right.
going to tell you what the point of
Right.
the code of
Just a-
conduct. Yours is not a point of order.
No,
Stuart.
just excuse me. I rose first on a point of order.
You know,
We had...
you haven't said what's the point of order.
Right, am I going to be allowed to speak?
What's your point of order?
Right, am I going to be allowed to
If
speak?
you tell me what your point of order
Right,
is.
we cleared this up last week. We don't start arguing with the
Councillor
public.
Thornton, will you
Right,
tell me what's
we
what's
cleared,
order?
we cleared this situation up last meeting. I asked what the correct protocol was for points of order.
Yeah.
And you confirmed that when a member stands up,
Yeah.
nobody else is to interrupt.
Unless,
And it's happened again by the same
Stuart,
person. Every time I
Stuart,
speak, he stands up.
Stuart, you're
You
entitled to stand up.
you don't do anything about it.
Stuart, but you have not stated
Right.
what the point of order is.
Right. I'm
Which
making-
rule is being
Right.
broken?
Did you ask him that question? No, you
You
didn't.
didn't get a chance to say it. You
No, you didn't ask him the question.
Right,
so
so
you
give us
asked
the
me,
point
right.
of order.
The point of order I'm standing on is an explanation.
Is what?
Is an explanation. And I'm clarifying the point to the gentleman.
No,
Oh, you see, he's done it again. He's done it again.
Stuart,
Chair, can I
Stuart,
say-
Stuart.
I'm standing up so I'm being heard.
Stuart, you cannot explain something to somebody else. It only
Right.
on a previous speech that you have personally
Right.
made.
All right,
So,
all right.
right, Ian,
All
what's
right.
your point of order?
My point of order,
I'm standing here so I get heard.
please,
Yeah, it's all right, carry on, Ian.
I realise that there are people in here who don't abide by rules, but our,
Ian, can I give me a point of
yes,
order?
my point of order is 44. A councillor raising a point of order shall identify the standing order when he considers it has been briefed. In other words, unless Councillor Thornton identifies what he's talking about as a breach of standing order, he has no right to claim that he's rising on a point of
Yes,
order.
Councillor, and this was
So-
made clear to you last week, last month.
I'm going to be allowed to speak, because what's just happened there is only half of the standing orders being read out. The explanation I was going to make to you, sir, was that, because it wasn't pointed out clearly. Because you're not a member of Anston Parish, we have a rule that you're not allowed to speak. Only people who are resident in Anston are allowed to speak, and therefore, I'm sorry, but you won't be able to make a full representation. It took a long time to come out, but I got there eventually. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Stuart, you are wrong, in fact, because
Well, I'm always
this
wrong.
section, this section is for anybody, not just for for residents of
No,
Hampstead.
no, no, no.
This section.
No, you can't make the rules.
And
Chair.
anyway,
You
I
can't
did
make the
read
rules
out
as
to
you
you,
go along.
and it says, a personal explanation shall be confined to some material, part of a form of speech made by him, and you have not made a
Right,
speech.
I spoke earlier on.
You didn't speak about this.
You need to chair the meeting rather than getting bogged down in
You
detail.
need to, but settle down.
I've not even started
Very
yet.
excited. Right, through the, right, have you all finished on that? Is this planning?
Yeah.
Yes, go.
I would like to hear that representation from these people. As a member of Hampstead Public,
Yeah.
I'd like to know what's happening, you know, that.
Well, it'll,
I think public
You'll
should
find out.
hear.
yeah, you'll find out later on on the agenda.
And if this chap says represent them people, what's
Can you do it?
Yeah,
represent
Doesn't live here.
or him or anybody else?
Yeah, you'll find out later on in the agenda.
Surely this is the time for the representation.
Yeah, members of the public aren't allowed to speak later on in
Yeah, because they're not allowed to speak in the meetings, they're not.
Helen, I've told these people I will ask them to present things later on. When it's done, yes, yes, but not now. Right, any more questions on Anston by Anston parishioners?
I thought it was on representations.
Yeah, what's your name, please? Mary, okay, Mr. Boyd, yeah.
I wanted to ask a question in relation to an item on the agenda.
Yeah,
With regard to access around the green.
yeah,
And I live at number 8, the green.
yeah,
And in 2010, our solicitors contacted the council and asked for the council to acknowledge a right of way to our property. Now, it's gone on now 4.5 years, and I would like to ask the council, what is the delay on acknowledging that right of way, and when will it be likely to be solved? Thank you.
Chair, can I come in just quickly, Chair? I'd like to
Yeah.
say something, right? Can I refer you to one of the letters that we've had off the solicitor? The solicitor is implying, and I'm being open and honest about this, the solicitor is basically saying to us that we shouldn't be discussing this particular item in open session. He said it's not helpful. I'm not bothered if it is discussed. What I'm saying is that we've had advice from the solicitor.
Is it all right if I speak?
yes, Mr. Boyd, it's on.
We came to the last parish council meeting. Well, we saw it on the internet, and so as our solicitor. And Mr. Thornton, Councillor Thornton, clearly stated that he had a personal interest
Yes, I
in
did.
this matter. What I would also like to know, if this is a matter between the council and number 8 the Greens, what personal interest does Mr. Thornton have?
But, can I answer?
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to explain why I made a personal declaration. You know why I made a personal declaration. No, you do. I'm a personal friend of number 10.
But the matter is not between them.
No. When we sit around the table and discuss things, we have to be as open and transparent as possible. And there's certain rules and regulations that if we have an interest in something, i.e. I'm friends with your neighbour, I have to declare that publicly so people like yourself know that when I speak, I have an interest in that particular item.
But why would you have an interest in a matter which I can understand your interest? I can understand your interest, Mr. Thornton, between the council and number 8,
Right.
because we're asking the council to acknowledge the right of way which has clearly been defined with the bollard and that we've used for 27 years ourselves and previous owners before us have used it. And I can quite clearly understand, with respect, your interest on the council. Now, the matter is between the council and myself and my husband and our property. So what personal interest would you have in that?
I'm a friend of your next door
Well,
neighbour.
that's not what I'm asking, Mr. Thornton.
Well, I'm trying to, right, so what are you asking? What are you asking?
Right, well, what is the interest of number 10 in us having access?
Right, the whole context of access revolves round, in your documentation, revolves round the access to number 10 that was achieved through a court case. That court case involved the person at number 10 who is a personal friend of mine. That's why I'm obliged to make a personal declaration that I have a personal interest.
But there were independent items within the deed that clearly stated that were clearly to do with number 8. But my question is, why is it taking 4.5 years? There obviously must be some major objection that we don't know about.
It is later on the agenda, by the
That
way.
we should know about.
It's later on the agenda.
And I would like to know what that is.
Yeah.
And
Mrs.
how
Boyle,
it's planned
could
to
I-
now.
I wasn't here at the meeting. Sit down. I wasn't here at the meeting when this was considered last time. I am well aware that this has dragged on far too long. My own view, and I have read the legal documents in here, Tierney and Co. say quite clearly, it will be discussed later, they see no reason why we cannot expedite this matter. And that is a way, subject to other debate around the table, that I will be voting tonight. We seem to take an age over things that should be dealt with, all right, sensibly and in depth, but it shouldn't take 4.5 years.
Okay, Mr. Boyd, it's later on in the agenda. Can
Particularly
you...
when we granted, this council granted a right of access to those people on the north side.
Any further questions from Anston parishioners? Because we're very running out of time. Right.
I'll just say that my access...
Sorry, Hillary. Sorry, Hillary. You can't. It's not open debate time. You've had your question. Right. To allow one question per elector on a topic which varies with responsibility, and through the chairman to allow ward members to address. Well, my question has to be answered, please, by somebody from the borough council. I would like to know, and I'm speaking now as an Anston resident, not as chairman of the parish council. And I don't intend to go and sit down there and say it.
Right, just hang on before you start.
Point of order.
When I've been at these meetings before, I've tried to ask a question as a member of the public, and I've been told I can't do that unless I go sit in the audience.
Right. Okay,
so you need to
I'll
go
ask the
sit in
question
the audience
as the chairman of the
and
parish council. Okay. Can any of the borough councillors tell me where the 6,500 Romers are living in Rotherham? Can they tell me who's paying for the rent? Can they tell me who's paying for them? And can they tell me what incentive Rotherham Borough's had to take all these people?
That's not to do with Anston.
It's section here for more ward members. Anybody like to answer it, or do you all want to say nothing?
Well, I'll answer you, John. You've actually missed one off on the question that you sent through to me by email. You put where have all the houses appeared from to accommodate them when there is a shortage for our own young people. So that's one part of the question you made. I've answered you already. I said I will chase it up for you with the appropriate officers at the Borough Council. Perhaps Councillor Burton's not here tonight, unfortunately, because she was a advisor to the Communities and Cohesion Cabinet member. I think Councillor Beck was at some point in time, so they may have had more knowledge than I do, but I will...
Concerns, that's all.
Well, I think, Chair, in the name of progress, given that you've given Councillor Jepson the opportunity to see the question beforehand, I think Councillor Jepson's probably best taken up.
Well, as I say, I had no option because it was sent through as an email, but I did reply to John. But I would ask the other borough council as well to use the best endeavours to try and find out.
I did say that
this has been asked before and not answered. Well, I did ask the chair to circulate it.
It was only asked me on Saturday. Right, I think we have then. Are we right? Right, move on.
At the end of the...
John?
Yes. Pardon? I did ask if anybody, and nobody said there wasn't any more questions.
Who said that? Who is Mr. Edmund?
Yes, Sam.
I want to know what Mr. Beavers, the independent person, is doing here tonight. Is he representing our NBC council, or is he here as a private person?
I don't know why he's here. He just decided to come.
Perhaps he would like to reply.
I will later.
Okay.
Not very nice.
Right.
How's he going to speak?
Right.
There's no progress, please, Chair.
Can I just say, can I just say I'll pass that email question on to the other councillors, including Councillor
Thank you.
Burton.
Okay, Clive, you do that for me. Right,
Chairman, Mr Lewis has a question.
Mr Chairman, the police are not allowed to come into council meetings or speak at council meetings. Can you tell me if they've been invited or not?
Well, I've not invited them.
You don't need an invite.
They don't need an invite to come into it. It's a public meeting.
No.
Yes, it is.
Look at the law. It
Yeah.
says the police cannot walk into council meetings and they cannot speak. Only time they can come in council meetings if they have been invited.
Right, well, I'm inviting you to step in now.
Right, then can you tell me then who's
we move
paid
on,
for it?
please, Chair?
Is the parish, is the borough, or is it coming from national? Who's
Yeah.
paying?
Only I could speak, maybe I could answer that. Of course, I'm not allowed, am I?
Right, we'll move on, we'll close the public session and we'll move on to number one.